So today we will be dealing about India-US logistics agreement. Whenever the United States makes defense ties with the other countries, it usually makes the other country sign 3 agreements. These 3 agreements are called foundational agreements. They are namely Logistics Support Agreement, the LSA, then Communication and Information Security Memorandum of Agreement, CISMOA, then Basic Exchange Cooperation Agreement for Geospatial Information, or BECA. Now recently, when Manohar Parrikar, the Indian Defense Minister, visited the United States, he signed the India-US Logistics Agreement. According to the India-US Logistics Agreement, India and US can use the military bases of each other, but this does not permit any stationing of US troops on Indian soil. Also, if US goes to war with any friendly countries, India will not be supporting that move. So, the India-US Logistics Agreement allows India and US to access the military bases of both the countries. So, it will help US tremendously in ensuring the freedom of navigation in the South China Sea and other maritime disputes in the East China Sea. It will also help India to get access to US bases in the Indian Ocean, namely bases in Djibouti, Diego Garcia, etc. Now, the Communication and Information Security Memorandum of Agreement, or CISMOA, allows India to get proprietary encrypted communication technology, high-tech avionics technology, etc. from the United States. Then Basic Exchange Cooperation Agreement for Geospatial Information will allow India to get long-range navigation data as well as satellite imaging, missile targeting data, etc. from the United States. Now, the UPA government opposed these 3 foundational agreements, saying that whenever a country signs these 3 agreements with the United States, it becomes a defense partner of the United States. And the UPA government or the previous government argued that that might cause India to lose its strategic autonomy, and it will be a huge burden for a non-aligned country like India. But whereas if we sign these 3 foundational agreements, our cybersecurity equipments can get a huge boost by getting encrypted communications and other technology from the United States. Also, it will build the India-US defense ties to the next level. That is, US for the last 4 years, it has already been the biggest defense partner of India. So, United States is now India's biggest defense partner, and between India and US, there is a $14 billion defense contract. So, I am emphasizing the most important point here. If India signs these 3 foundational agreements with the United States, it will drastically improve the technology transfer and other defense technology relations between India and the United States. But there are some downsides to signing these 3 agreements too. Like, if India sign the Communication and Information Security Memorandum of Agreement with the United States, it will help the US to track Indian communications, and there might be something like NSA spying on Indian military communication that might happen in the future. Remember, the NSA spied even leaders of countries like Germany, which are really friendly to the United States. Then if we sign Basic Exchange Cooperation Agreement for Geospatial Information, or BECA agreement, then there is a possibility that the US might be placing its own digital sensors on the Indian soil. So even though it might help India in getting better navigation to our missile systems and all, there is a chance that again these geospatial data, which will be shared between these 2 countries for civilian as well as military purposes, might be misused by the United States. Also, building or being a big level defense partner with the United States might affect our ties with China and Russia. Russia has always been a very important defense partner of India. India has cooperated with Russia in developing the next generation defense systems like BrahMos cruise missile, as well as 5th generation fighter aircraft, the Sukhoi FGFA aircraft, or what they call PAKFA or T-50 fifth generation aircraft in Russia. So India expanding its defense ties with the United States has the potential to dramatically decrease India's defense ties with Russia. So that's all about the India-US logistics agreement. Now let us try to solve a model prelims question based on the India-US logistics agreement. So now let us discuss the question. So our question is with reference to Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement or LEMOA, consider the following statements. So this is a 3-statement question. The first statement is, this agreement would facilitate exchange of geospatial information between India and US for both military and civilian use. Then the second statement is, LEMOA is a tweaked India-specific version of the Logistics Support Agreement, which the US has with several countries. Then the third statement is, it is one of the foundational agreements which the US signs with the countries with which it has close military ties. Now let us examine the first statement. So what was our rule for solving 3-statement questions? So in order to solve 3-statement questions in an effective manner, you can use the elimination method, which we will be discussing now. So let us take the first statement. So the first statement is, this agreement would facilitate exchange of geospatial information between India and United States. So as we discussed before, this statement is an explanation of BECA agreement or Basic Exchange Cooperation for Geospatial Information Agreement's description. So the first statement is obviously false. So now we can eliminate option A and D, because in both of these options you have 1. So options A and D, which is 1 and 3 only, and 1, 2 and 3 has been eliminated. So now we only have to consider 2 options, option B and C. Now without even knowing whether option 2 is right or not, we can surely say that option 2 is right. Because see, both of the remaining options left are option B and option C, in which both there is the option 2. So option B is 2 only and option C is 2 and 3 only. So we can clearly say that option 2 is true. Now we only need to check option 3. So option 3 is, it is one of the 3 foundational agreements which the US signs with the countries with which it has close military ties. So as we discussed before, it is obviously true. So we can conclude that option C is the right answer.